Alistair, welcome to H Hour.
Thank you, Hugh. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for journeying down, mate. And a little shout to the Platinum Patron Coke listening in now live. Coke might drop some questions in as we go through into the YouTube chat.
Yep.
I'll bring them up if I can into the conversation.
Of course. Yep.
And we may get a bunch towards the end as well, but just so he's listening in. Okay, we were discussing on the icebreaker royals.
Yeah.
Let's have a conversation about that. So, why did that come up? Oh, yeah. Person you'd most like to have a beer with. You said the King. I thought you were talking about Elvis. You were talking about King Charles.
Yeah.
You thought he was an interesting guy. And you said you're a royalist. So, all right. So, it's an interesting topic of conversation over the last couple of years.
Yeah.
The monarchy. So, why are you a royalist? Why do you think you have a place?
Love the history. It's what makes us British. Having, the royal family, kings, queens. I mean, you go back in history and, it's all contentious, isn't it? It's because you either believe that they're there to protect us and to help managers and policers and to keep the rule and blah, blah, blah. And then the other people will think they're just taxing us and taking our money off of us and resenting it. So what band, what camp are you going to go into? I go into the camp of people need leaders in their life, and kings and queens are the people that we need in our lives to give us direction and look up to.
But how do countries who don't have a monarchy manage it then?
They've still got leaders, haven't they? They've still got those same people that will make the decisions, whether they're right. People cannot make a decision generally to save their life, I don't think. In a large, the thing is, when in a community basis type of thing, you've got too many people with too many different views, you never get anything done, and it takes somebody to stand up and say, this is what we're going to do, and then everybody go, yeah, I'll follow him, that's, and then if you don't look, and the leader, the king, he says, well, look, I've got 60% of the people here that want to do this. You don't want to do it. Well, I'll fight you for it then. Okay, then. And so if the king wins because he's a bigger bloke or he's better at fighting, so they go, oh, fuck it. Yeah, all right. He's a leader. And it's human DNA. It's, just DNA. It's animal, animalistic. It's why do, apes and chimpanzees and lions and have those dominant, elements to their society.
Well, I get it. I like the royal family. I agree with you. They are a core component of British culture, and I love British culture. Right? But if you removed them, we'd still have a leader. We'd have the Prime Minister.
Yeah, but would you look up to him? Yeah, we've got a Prime Minister, yeah. But, unfortunately, politicians are even more disingenuous than the royal family. That maybe, the thing is the royals no longer have a role particularly in controlling what we as a nation do or don't do now. They are an historical facet of our society, which I absolutely love having. Of course you go, oh, it's just privileged and aren't they lucky? But majority of them that actually that are heads of state or that are make an impact to us as a nation work really hard. They do a lot of good. This is my stance on it. So having a royal family brings in a lot of income into the country. That has a lot of influence. Is outside of the through the Commonwealth and other things. And we have that, because we have that history. People love history, and like the French have got history. I love France, and I love Rome, Italy, and and then you could say, they're not as stable. Italy, France, they're not as stable governments as ours.
Yeah, but I don't think you can attribute that to the fact that they don't have a monarchy.
Well, I do. No, you're right. No, you don't.
I see what you're saying. There's a the cultural aspect's an important one. So I mean, the leadership point. You made a point in the leadership. They don't have any really control over everything. So what are they leading, right?
Yeah.
So in reality, right now they're figureheads, aren't they?
Yeah.
And I mean, what are they figureheads for? They're figureheads, arguably now, for British culture, British values, British traditions.
Yeah.
Really, I'd say that's it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Whatever those seem to be at the minute and the way they're going to roll their way is a different conversation.
Yeah.
But that has, that has huge value. It has less value now than it did do, but it still has huge value in social cohesion, community, a sense of togetherness, a sense of common, a common love of a thing that a lot of people take for granted. I took it for granted myself and I didn't realise until the Queen died. Right, and I've never been I'll be honest. I maybe have watched the Queen's speech. I watched the Queen's speech once in my lifetime, maybe once. I can't remember a time. I think I did once. Yeah. Right. I wasn't a huge royalist per se. I liked them. I didn't like that people were talking about getting rid of them. I saw value in it. It's because it's the Queen. Yeah. Why would you get rid of the royal family? What are you talking about? But I didn't realise just how much of a part of my life they were. And what I considered to be British until the Queen died. And I was genuinely sad. It felt like I'd lost a close family member. And I'm not exaggerating there. It really felt like that. And it really surprised me. I thought, and it caused me to think, why am I feeling this for this person? And I've been around her a couple of times. I wouldn't say I've met her. I haven't met her. I've been within feet of her, and been at events where she has been at, literally that close.
Yeah.
But it's not like we were muck of cheese, and it caused me to think, well, why do I feel like this? Why do I feel genuinely sad that she is now gone? And it's almost like you don't realise what you had until it's gone. And she was someone who was literally there since I was born. She was always talked about. She was on every Christmas since I was, my entire life. This woman has been there and seemed almost like timeless herself, just this constant thing. She didn't ebb and flow. Her power or her influence didn't ebb and flow as the government's changed, the prime minister's changed, and the party's changed, and wars happened, and all of that. Yeah. She was a constant all the way through, and she was just this reliable thing that was always there, and you could always look at her as a representation of what is, true British. The epiphany of true British values and standards and manners and politeness and wanting to do things for the greater good. And I'm not even religious either. She's the head of the church, right? She was the head of the church. I think of course, the king's the head of the English, the church now, right? And I'm not religious, but there's that aspect as well. And I thought, is it? She's just been there all this time, and I've taken her for granted. And she is probably the core thing that the human being that I associated with what it means to be British and what British culture is. Her, Buckingham Palace, soldiers in red outside the palace. Before I joined up, this was what I was thinking. That was that. If you're going to say name three things that define British culture, you go Queen, Buckingham Palace, soldiers in red with big black hats. And then she disappeared. And that, and Charles isn't the same. Right, because he hasn't been in love, but that he carries that kind of same, influence and emotional connection for other people who are, who are perhaps more connected to the royal family than I am, or see more in them than I do. I like them. I want them to stay, but only because of the representation of British culture. Yeah, and because, as you said, they people argue against. No, they don't do anything for the country in terms of revenue. Yes, they absolutely do. Yeah, because we're a thing that is a little bit different with a monarchy. We've got this royal family. Yes, a bit. Sometimes it feels a bit over the top.
But it's the history. They what else can we offer? Who else can sort of say they have this lineage of history that's still? I just find that kind of, fantastic. You can go back I don't know, it's 1,000 years, at least, through the centuries, and you can see this lineage of people that have just been there. Now, again, I can understand anybody, Republican, that can just say, well, it's just, but then all through history, there's people that have hated the monarchy. There has. So, I mean, there's nothing new about that. But they come in, people come and go. The royal family don't. They're just there for us as a constant, as something consistent for us. And I think that's something really special.
You made a good point, actually. You had a good point on the leadership side and earlier, and that is they are the government agnostic, right? And that content is important.
Yeah, they are, yeah.
Something that's there that is reliable. And what's your thoughts on? Sorry, and Coke mentioned this as well. What is your thoughts on Harry?
Bit of a lost soul, isn't he? I mean, I think he was badly at the bad age for losing his mother, for starters, and I think everybody can relate to somebody that's lost their mother at an early age, and how that affects them, and sometimes you don't know how it affects them. And he's the second son. He's never going to be king. Has he been sort of badly influenced by the people around him? Has he let himself be influenced by the people closest to him? Probably. Has he made the right decision? No. But
which decision are you talking about?
Just going to America. Packing it all in. But maybe he just thinks for his own sanity, that's what he needed to do. So let him do it. Doesn't have to. I think sometimes I think the royals have been a little bit harsh on him, but he knows what it is. I mean, but at the same time, why should the British public fund him if he's not going to want to be part of an establishment that is they are there to serve the public? That's their job. They're there to set up charity work, to do different things, and that's their job. They have a job to do, and that's what they get paid for, one way or the other. And if you don't want to do it, right, well, we're not going to pay for you. We're not going to keep you, and the British public aren't going to keep you. So off you go, fend for yourself. And that's what he said. It must be really brave as well to do that.
Oh, it's a ballsy move.
Because he won't have the same income, he won't have the same protection, I guess, as if he was part of the royal family, as part of the institute, as you say. So yeah, I think
it's a combination of. I mean, I think there's definitely an element there where. There's got to be an element there where you can't say she's not influencing him. The people around you influence you, right? Especially the person you love.
Yeah.
The people nearest and dearest to you. And I think that definitely is an element there where the influence and decision to go abroad, obviously.
Mm.
I don't think that's necessarily manipulation by her. And maybe it is, right? But we don't know.
Yeah, no.
And that is the speculation on it. But what I see is, as you sort of alluded to, a guy who he's lived a very different life to most people, right?
Yeah.
He's born into a position where, hey, okay, you can look at it as a position of privilege if you want, but there's equal viewpoints you can look at it as a position of hardship, right? In different ways.
Yeah.
You're born into the public eye. And I think for most people who are born in the public eye, it's just, a crocodile goes up in the jungle. They're just a crocodile in the jungle. They don't think, oh, I wish I'd grown up in the city. They don't know anything else, right? And, a person grows up in South Africa or fucking Zimbabwe or China or here. They don't know anything different. This is where they are, right? They don't know, unless they're shown something else, they have no aspirations to go elsewhere. And I think for most of the royals, they're born into that, don't get me wrong, extremely advantageous position in life. They're very rarely going to have hardship. They're never going to fall on tough times financially, or very rarely. The only ones that seem to do with the spouses who get divorced, right? But he, I think, because of his experiences with his mother, because of his experiences and the way he perceived that situation and how life and how things have unfolded and the timing of him maturing and then his service has played a part in it, I think, and his outlook on life, I think that he's in a unique mindset for a royal in the current day and age where he's gone, I'm not happy with this, and I think I can change the way I'm living. I don't have to be like this. Why do I have to submit myself to these pressures and worries? Well, but he cited his concern about being concerned about his family's welfare, her welfare, the children's welfare, because of paparazzi and all that. And I see that getting slated as nonsense, just making shit up. And you go, well, no. You look at it from a different point of view. He suffered a childhood trauma because of the very things he's citing now. He's like, I totally believe what he's saying. These are ingrained things. Now, how he's gone about things and what he's done and things like the book and all that, is that correct? Is it not? I don't know. Is there any correct course of action in what he's doing? You don't know, because he's the only person who's lived that kind of life and made those kind of decisions ever. There's been no one like him before, and there'll be no one like him since.
I mean, he had Edward and Mrs. Simpson thing, didn't he? So that he kind of probably had that.
Edward what, sorry?
Edward's the king that abdicated.
Yeah.
So he got that precedent of him being able to say, do you know what? My uncle, whatever relationship it was, he did it. So, I'm going to do it. I can dip out. I'm not the first to have done it. And so probably won't be the last, possibly. And, society has changed. He was given so much more freedom. Him and William, I think, were given so much more freedom than Charles ever had. Whether that was because of and Charles, maybe society changing, and Charles thinks and the Queen were going, well, we need to give them a little bit of a more slack, allow them to live their life a little bit better than what we were able to do, because we were so restricted in what we could and couldn't do. So they were probably given in the first generation of more freedom, and maybe that's how he gets to meet celebrities and all these. Maybe he's more exposed to that because he's allowed to be more exposed to that, and he thinks, this is what I like, this life. I like being able to do my own thing. I don't want to have to be can you imagine going at the weekend and you get up in the morning and you dress a certain way in the morning, then it's time for lunchtime, so you have to get changed and get dressed for that. And then in the evening, you have to get dressed for that, and you're told, this is how you have to live your life. You do this, you do that. I don't think I'd like to live my life like that.
I think about it. I think if you can be dead certain about anyone who could have handled it better, for sure, the family could definitely have handled it better. I think the way
they didn't know, did they? It's all new to them as well.
I know. Yeah, I get that, right? But if you look at it from, I get that, mate. But it's not like they are new to PR.
No, but then the whole society has changed a lot in the last 20 years. So the Queen certainly wasn't. I mean, I think she adapted very well. I think she was, well, we don't know, but I think she adapted really well. Diana came in, she broke the mould. Obviously, we all thought that Prince, Charles and Diana was the perfect thing, but Charles had Camilla in the background, and there was 3 of them, clearly. And she thought that he loved her, and clearly he didn't, as much as she wanted to be loved. So that probably sort of pushed them aside, pushed them apart. Perhaps the kids saw that, her unhappiness in her. Charles isn't innocent in this at all, is he? So, maybe, I don't know, maybe he's not as nice a guy as I think he is. When you start to think of that, was he sort of having an affair the whole time during their married life? Is that fair on her? No. Was Charles was told to marry her, basically? So is that fair on him? No.
Was he?
Well, he loved Camilla, but then she was married, wasn't she?
I don't know the details yet.
Don't you?
Yeah. So was it common knowledge at the time that he was banging Camilla?
Probably. Not to the general public, I don't think.
Right, that's what I mean, to the general public.
Yeah, I don't think so. But then, but Camilla was his best friend as a man prior to meeting Diana.
Oh.
They were good friends because of the horsey side of things, the polo set type of thing. I think that's how he met her, or how they sort of like their social lives intertwined, I think. And so, he was, it's a bit hard to imagine, isn't it? Camilla or Diana. Mm.
Yeah. You might be right you might actually be right there, I think. Let me rephrase that. I might actually agree with you there on the ability of the royal family to handle things like this well. I've been inexperienced in it, and it's a good point, because probably Harry bugging out was probably the first major incident that they had since like the advent of the smartphone and the internet, right? Because when Diana died in 97, the internet only started.
Yeah.
Right? Didn't have everything else.
Yeah.
It literally was in early days.
Yeah.
I say it was only just started. It was only just becoming like available to households, really affordably available to households.
Certainly no social media.
Mid-90s, no social media. And I'm trying to think what anything that happened since between then, major, and Harry bugging out.
Well,
was there anything?
Well, you had all the you had
Fergie
and Fergie and Andrew and all those. Even Anne, I think she'd been divorced.
Fergie and Andrew, that was an affair, though, wasn't it?
Yeah,
and she had the financial issues.
But that was all the Sun, and it was the media, it was the newspapers. Then they obviously the newspapers had total control of what the public saw, and so with Harry, it's the papers have lost more and more control of how they influence the general public.
That's what I mean. So so when Harry happened, this was like a new age of things. The first catastrophe they had to deal with in New World, and they dealt with it in Old World ways. So the reason I was saying that I thought they handled it badly is that they basically publicly outcast him. Right now, in my mind, what they should have done is, regardless of what they thought behind the scenes, I think what they should have done, and obviously this is in hindsight, is they should have outwardly supported his move. Hey, he wants to go, that's fine. We support him. He wants to be happy. He's our son, grandson, cousin, brother.
But they've done that, haven't they? Yeah.
They didn't, though, mate. I don't think it did consistently. And
well, it's not like...
Well, it didn't appear like it anyway.
To me, they went, well, if that's what you want to do, off you go. But we're no longer going to financially support you. You can no longer be. And I think that's fair.
I think that's fair.
I think that's fair, yeah. And I think, for him to expect to have, and I think he did think he would still be, keep all the trappings. But if you're not going to do your job, mate, then, off you go. And I mean, he's still got protections. I mean, he's still got family. Family is family. Now, if he wants to come back and home and see his dad, siblings, etc., he can do that. There's nothing to stop him. There's nothing to stop him coming back to the UK and taking on a civvy role or whatever. I mean, who's the other one? Charles's younger brother. So I'm not really, although I'm a royalist, I'm not really a big...
Charles's younger brother?
The lad who went to join Marines then, but didn't manage it, couldn't handle it.
I don't know.
So we're not really royalists, are we? there'll be people shouting. He's known to theatre and
You're
stuff.
not Brits.
You're
not real Brits.
How do you not know Andrew's...
I don't know.
Anyway.
Tristan, is it? No.
Oh, useless of names.
Anyway, go on.
But, he's...
I'm going to have to Google it.
Yeah.
It's embarrassing.
He's, you got Anne, Charles, and the other one.
Oh. Didn't he do the Falklands?
No, I don't think he did. No, he didn't get that far. No, that Andrew was in the Falklands, obviously.
We need to talk about Andrew.
Yeah. But the other one, he's...
Prince Edward.
Edward, yeah.
Did we mention him just a bit?
No, well, that was the one, Edward and Mrs. Simpson.
Yeah.
So, kind of Edward's a bit of a, fluffy, sort of non...
the fact king, that's why.
The fact that we couldn't even remember his name,
Yeah.
He's very much sort of not in the public eye, is he? Yeah. Really.
What did you think about, again, Coke was mentioning the same thing, what did you think about the way Andrew was handled?
I mean, the thing is with Andrew...
Queen was still alive then as well.
Yeah. The thing with Andrew is that he was, he served his time, I don't know how well he served his time as a helicopter pilot and all that sort of stuff, but for me, he worked hard, played hard, and probably took advantage of his situation as being the younger brother. That it's a bit like Harry. He's the Harry, isn't he? He's the second son that's not going to be king, so he can sort of have a fun time. And he's just got, There's a line. Yeah, there is. I mean, if we're talking about recent stuff, then, he's just dickhead. I mean, you really... It's a bit like anybody in a politician, that takes expenses that they shouldn't take, and then doesn't mention it, and then go, oh yeah, I forgot.
What are you referring to recent stuff? What do you mean?
I mean, as in, we're talking about Andrew again.
Yeah.
Well, his stuff with Epstein.
Oh right, yeah. I was going to say.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't compare that to taking expenses.
No. But did he?
A bit more serious than that.
I mean, was he? I think he's such a, he's that type of character that he just wouldn't even question who those girls were. Probably didn't care, and that's bad. That's bad. But is he? And so I don't know. I mean, I actually try to see the good in most people. Although, don't get me on Trump, because I don't think there'd be anything good I could say about him, or Hitler. Or have you ever done a NLP course, neuro-linguistic programming?
No.
Have you heard of NLP?
I've heard of NLP. Yeah.
I did a course, and we're doing a Ronnie Corbett here, and I'll digress off a little bit, but NLP is, a lot of NLP is about sort of seeing the good in everybody. And so I remember in this course, well, Hitler was a nice man. When he went home and, when he was having dinner with his wife, there was nothing, a bit like Saddam Hussein. He's a family man and, blah, 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 blah. And he was kind to his children and his grandchildren, etc. People within his own little sphere saw him as a nice person. So, and that's what NLP is about. So always trying to find the good in somebody or something.
Okay.
So it's, but there are limits. But if we go back to Andrew, I mean, just honestly, he just didn't do himself. No, I mean, he probably abused his status, and it's just gone. Why do you need to do things like that? When you've got so much, why would you abuse everything? And it's probably because he thinks he can get away with it, and nobody's going to care, nobody's going to touch him, etc., etc. Except
I think you can get away with it. Lack of empathy, lack of real world understanding. I think that the others don't have, and it has to be an element of. I don't know if you're going to be, assuming that the rumours and the accusations are true with, underage, well, with kids, with youths. then there has to be an element, I think, for most people there of psychopathy if it's a regular thing. There has to be a.
I can't comprehend it. And
has to be mental issues.
I don't even like thinking about people that have an interest in children. I can't even contemplate it because I don't have kids myself, and so when you don't have something yourself, it's almost double the pain of if you haven't got kids and you would love to have had kids, and then somebody has got kids or has and then abuses them. Mm-hmm. It's almost like for me it's and I've always wanted to have kids, so not having them almost, you could say, hurts every day. So for me, if the thought of I just don't even want to think. I can't understand. Don't want to think about it because it just upsets me too much about why somebody would want to abuse a child. Mm-hmm. It's unfortunate.
And just point that, just twiddle that mic and just there you go. Yeah, sorry,
yeah. So Andrew, I mean, I wouldn't even want to think that he, the girl that was in that photograph, whatever. She didn't. I don't think she was underage, was she?
Yeah.
Oh, was she?
I'm pretty sure she was underage.
I don't think she was I don't think she was under 16.
I'm pretty sure she was 15 in that photo. I mean, that's just the one.
Yeah. Oh, well, yeah.
And then you've got the way the media handles things, right? And you mentioned earlier, is there any cold question? Have you ever? Are there any media outlets today that you trust fully?
Going back to what I just said, I like to think of the best of people, but no, I don't think there is. I will. So on YouTube, if I want, if I see something on the news, generally I'll have to look at it 3 times, 3 different news outlets.
Yeah. For what reason?
Because just so that you can, it's verified. If 3 independent sources say the same thing, then it's probably going to be more reliable.
Yeah, I am listening to you.
But I think it's. I sometimes watch Al Jazeera, which I never thought.
That's I think for people who are polled on what not polled, for people who I know who have cited news outlets that they trust more than others, Al Jazeera consistently comes up.
I mean, I do trust the BBC, but their editorial side of things is very dubious at times in terms of what they decide to cover.
What, YouTube?
No, BBC.
Oh, BBC.
Well, BBC editorial.
BBC's fucking shocking, mate.
Yeah. So, but I trust them. I want to trust them, but their editorial. So if they say something, I believe it will be true. That's right. But it's slanted. So it's true through a certain lens.
Yeah, it's like I don't have a problem with an organisation which is doing that, and we know this slanted, and they don't pretend to be otherwise. The problem with the BBC is that they pretend to be otherwise, and people have expectations of them otherwise. Yeah. You do not expect the World Service, the organisation that puts out the World Service, to be slanted and be very disingenuous at times with the way they communicate a story, be that a headline, be that what facts they choose to include or what to omit, or how they describe what happened in there, in an event, for example. And the BBC do it, and then at the same time you tie that into the fact that they are responsible for the licensing fee.
Channel 4 is pretty good. Channel 4 News, I think, is quite good.
So Al Jazeera is good. Talk TV, I've heard, is very good. And recently there's been a couple of segments that I happened to come across of Talk TV, and I've just thought, they are talking about things on this interview with XYZ person, talking about subjects and opinions and things that I don't think I would see anywhere else, because people wouldn't have the balls to talk about things like this. You're talking about culture and migration and things like this. They're talking about topics that are probably front and centre of a lot of people's minds, but other news outlets don't want to talk about. And I'm just saying that anecdotally about Talk TV. I don't know if Al Julia does something. I don't tend to watch any of the news anymore.
Yeah.
I just get frustrated by it. I will occasionally dip into the BBC, flick it up, literally to see what on there is going to piss me off. That's literally why.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm bored. Open the BBC and see what's on that piss me off. Sometimes it's something to piss me off. Okay, why is that pissing me off? Sometimes it's not. I close it down. The skies are different.
Yeah.
You know, GB News early on, I think, was going the right way with things. I thought I liked GB News in the really early days when it first started. Literally when it first started, and it only was having like 40,000 views a day, or it was like nothing, and it was only on YouTube.
Yeah. Right.
But I think as that grew bigger, it moved away from that and became its own. It's got its own slant, and it's very right. It's
quite right.
I want balanced.
Is Piers Morgan on that? I can't remember.
He was. I don't know if he still is.
Okay. Yeah.
And I've got no problem with that. Like Farage is on there. I've got no problem with them having presenters on from either left or right, because they are. They're not pretending otherwise.
Yeah.
But it seems to me now they're pretty much only going right. And I liked it early on because balanced view. They weren't afraid to get balanced views on, but mainly because they were able and willing, as presenters or interviewers, to ask the challenging questions and not worry about who they pissed off. You go back to the Prince Andrew interview. Who was it interviewed Prince Andrew when he said about the sweat thing? Was it Emily Maitlis?
Maitlis, yeah.
Right. Now, if this is the way I think about this, if I was sat there and I was I was chatting with Andrew, right? And I was like, hey, what have you got to defend yourself here? And he says, I don't, a part of his evidence is I don't sweat. Yeah. I can't sweat. My response would be, what? Sorry, but I think you're talking nonsense. Explain this to me.
Yeah.
Just talk me through that.
Yeah.
And I would just keep going and keep digging until I was absolutely convinced he was either telling the truth or telling a lie. I wouldn't just sort of whisk past it, which is what happened in the Maitlis interview. And it wasn't just on that point. She dug slightly on it, but not enough. Not because that's a pretty outrageous thing to claim.
Yeah. But
I think there's other things in there. Just dig into it.
Yeah.
But the problem is, on these bigger organisations, the big established media outlets, they don't want to piss, for example, the family off.
Yeah.
Give Andrew a really hard time. Oh, may not get another interview with someone else.
I don't think they needed to push him too hard to get what they wanted, or did they? I mean, I've never watched the interview, although I think I saw the documentary on it, or not documentary, the drama.
I haven't seen that.
Which was quite funny, sort of. Yeah, it's just the guy's just slightly embarrassing, isn't he? Well, I mean, for some people,
Andrew,
it's
extremely embarrassing.
Yeah,
lock him up and throw away the key.
Yeah,
which unfortunately I haven't done. He should have been outcast, if you ask me.
I mean, at that house, he's been told to leave, hasn't he? And he was refusing, and then I think Andrew. And
really?
I think it's been resolved now. I saw a little story about it being resolved, but he's got to cough up for it or something. He was, Anyway, but no, I mean, it's just he's disappointing, isn't he? In terms of being in that privileged position.
The royal family, their time, their cards marked. I don't think they've got a lot longer, relatively speaking. The reason I say that is because it is no coincidence that the decline in their popularity UK wide, it's a gradual decline, and what people think of them. On average, it's probably gone from most people going, yeah, they're amazing, we should keep them, to that sentiment is slightly less now, or a lot less. And there's no coincidence that ties in with also the decline in things like how many people are Christian in the country, how many people are practicing Christians, how many people are part of the church.
Yeah.
It's one of the reasons. Yeah. There's other reasons, but and I think.
Well, I think William's got a good opportunity to bring back their relevance.
You've got a hard job, though, mate.
Yeah, well, it's still doable. Depends on what his kids are like, and how they grow up, and how they perceive their role. what value that they can bring to us. They're always going to be there. But the Dutch royal family are still there, I think. But I think their royal family, they've got slightly less profile than the British royal family. But they're very, they've got great history. So I think maybe that's a way that our royal family will go, to be slightly less, headline type of stuff, and more, an historical backdrop to the country, rather than a very much the Queen was so, reverential, wasn't she? Everybody loved the Queen, but then
worldwide, mate.
Worldwide. Absolutely. Charles doesn't have that, and he's not going to have that now, because he hasn't gone through what the Queen went through with the British public because of the war. And so he's never going to have that opportunity unless shit hits the fan with Russia, of course. But he's not going to have that same those same experiences with the general public to endear himself with. I think I like the guy. I think he's got a lot of sound concepts and about the planet and etc., and always seems to be level-headed, and he's a little bit eccentric, but I like eccentric people.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? Is that he is as posh and as upper class and British posh upper class, as anyone can be in the UK, and as the Queen was, except it's perceived differently when it's a man. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
The Queen does it.
Yeah.
It's reverential, like you said. That is everything about it.
No, you're right. You're right.
With him, it's equal, the same, but it's perceived very differently.
But look, I wouldn't look at him now, because he's not going to be with us for that long in the grand scheme of things. You've got to look at William. What do you think of William? The question is, to do a politician's thing, don't ask me about the king, ask me about what you think of William. Because William's going to be king in, 10 years' time. A young king. So what can William offer us? And what can William's children offer us? What can they do? And I like William. Again, he's been brung up proper. He seems to be that sort of person that can, talk some sense.
I think the only way that they could regain or improve or increase the public positivity and increase the amount of people who support them and want to keep them around, and decrease the amount of people who don't like them, it would have to be something drastic, and it would be something like demanding and driving for political reform. It'd have to be something major like that. Recognising there's a problem with government and driving for reform.
Problem with government? What do you mean, problem with government? Well, but look,
where shall we start?
Yeah. But
I don't mean, I'm not talking party. I'm not talking the party. I'm talking government in general. From party to party.
I get really pissed off when people slag Great Britain, and or government. I would say that I'm on being right conservative, but really agnostic now, because when I was a big fan of Maggie when I was young. So but you want me to come a bit closer? No, I just believe that all the politicians are in it for themselves, and Starmer's clearly shot himself in the foot with that sort of the clothing allowance that he didn't mention, because you think the last thing I would have thought of a Labour politician, Labour Prime Minister, is to be not taking backhanders for clothing.
Yeah, but they all do, and that's part one of the problems I'm referring to with British politics. It's like
any politics.
Any politics.
Any politics.
US.
Well, but I'm going to go back to the sort of the thing that pisses me off when people bash Great Britain, and I say to them, okay, tell me any civilized society that's better than us that you think is the way to go. Tell me, where on this planet is perfect?
Oh, no, it's perfect. It doesn't mean you can't look inwards and think we need improvement. So
okay, but improvement, but to what extent? So let's say improvement. So who is doing better than us?
I don't look at it like that. I look at inwards and go, okay, where do I see there are problems and what do I think should be improved?
But we've always got something can be improved. Each individual person can improve themselves the next day. There is no perfect person. All you can be is better, to try to be better tomorrow than you were yesterday. And so when we live in a society that, is imperfect, then of course it's so easy for any of us to say, oh, well, the NHS could be better. It's in shocking state. Or the roads are shit, the police are...
I think at a higher level than that, though, is the way I see it at the moment with, let's say, British politics and British government, British democratic process, right, is that it's not that it hasn't improved, it's that it's gotten worse. And the reason I say that is because it used to be that, back in the day, it used to be that MPs, as an example, we look at MPs. MPs existed to communicate the general consensus of their constituency to Parliament, to say, hey, this is what my constituency thinks, on average, and this is which way I'm going to vote on this bill, or this won't sign, or this is the information I need to communicate to you because they're not happy about X, Y, and Z issue, and I want to raise that to the Parliament, I want to raise that to the government, it needs to be addressed. And I think we're in a position now where that is almost unheard of, with the exception of small and almost irrelevant issues. It is more and more common that an MP in the House of Commons, let's say voting on a bill, passing a bill as an example, they are more and more likely, much more likely, to vote in the way that their party wants them to vote as opposed to what their constituency do. We see it time and time again where MPs vote in one way and it's not what the constituents want. We see it all the time. And so that's one aspect, right? And that's gotten worse than what it used to be, right? And then the other aspect is that it's definitely gotten worse for the last 20, 30 years, certainly in my lifetime, that the influence of money and what capitalism is, and I'm all for capitalism, right, but on government, has had a negative effect on government. So ministers, again, or civil servants, making decisions, making deals, making decisions, enacting policies, because a major factor in doing that is that it will benefit them financially, them or people they know, and that means it'll benefit them where power is concerned. And so, I mean, there are two areas. I think we really now is the worst it's ever been, and that's not just, I'm not just saying this because Labour in power, because I'm not a fan of Labour. Neither am I a fan of the Tories. The Tories are in, whoever's in. I think that's what I'm referring to, where it's it's majorly problematic, and that is saddening, right? Apart from the fact it actually has real world implications like it has now, because more things are happening in government that are not of the concern of what we want, the electorate want. It's more what the government wants and thinks is right, as opposed to what people actually want. But it's saddening because, again, we were talking about what the royal family represents as a representation of the UK, of Britain, right? The British government is too. House of Commons is too. The House of Lords is too. Parliament is. Westminster is. These are the cornerstone things, that key things that when when people think of the UK, foreign people think of the UK or Britain, they think first thing they think is London. Second thing I think is Buckingham Palace. Third thing they think is Big Ben. And government and Winston Churchill and all these things. And right now it's been watered down so much that they're doing such a bad job for us. It's embarrassing and it's bad for us. But it's only going to get worse unless we rein it back in.
But I think that one of the problems that we've got is this not wanting. We'll go back. It's not wanting to offend anybody and all this wokeness. So that I don't think that helps from the politicians. Again, it goes back to strong leaders and strong people that are prepared to make difficult decisions. Whether and sometimes those decisions are wrong, but but you have to make a decision, because if you don't make decisions, things just go on and on and on. I mean, the railway line, HS2, a complete fuck up. But it just went on and on and on. It got dithered and dithered and dithered and dithered to the point where it's almost they'd spent so much money on, consultancies and this and that.
But that is almost entirely because of deliberate bureaucracy brought in, not particularly because of H2, but before that, deliberate bureaucratic processes brought in, because the more steps you introduce to bring about a change, then the more opportunities are to bring in companies and make a profit from that. Instead of having one contractor or one person to deliver X, Y, or Z thing, you have 10 or 15 or 2 or 3 in the middle. You max that out against a program, a crazy program like H, a huge undertaking. The last thing you need is unnecessary bureaucracy, which is why it went nowhere. But lots and lots of people have got very, very rich in the process and delivered very, very little. People have benefited from this, and people in government have benefited from this. And
but who started? Do you remember? I don't know who started. What political party started?
I'm sure it was Labour.
Was it?
Yeah, I'm sure. I was looking it up. I'm sure the idea first got aired in 2009, I think it was.
Right.
Work didn't actually start until 2017, I think.
Well,
2017 maybe, yeah.
And but when you saw that, and it is a good example of politics and things like that, just in the worst form, I think, because the advantage of it, the time scale that it was going to improve is like half an hour, 20 minutes quicker than currently, from Birmingham to London. Maybe I think it's only going to be 20 minutes or 30 minutes quicker. Billions of pounds to be, 30 minutes
there is
quicker.
That resource of capacity, right? And 20 or 30 minutes makes quite a big difference on if you talk a 20, 30 minute improvement from Birmingham to London, the journey is anyway only something like from there an hour and 20.
Yeah.
So when you look at it in percentage terms, you're talking about 30% reduction in the journey time. It means that Birmingham becomes, and I don't know if your figures are right there, but let's say they're right. It means that London becomes a more commutable option for people from Birmingham and vice versa.
Yeah.
It makes things more accessible. People can get to higher paying jobs. Take home money is more because they don't have to live in the places where the pay is higher. I see the benefit in those kind of things.
But it was also conceived prior to Zoom calls and working from home.
Yeah.
So it's now relevant.
Less relevant.
Less relevant. Yeah. Well, anyway, I'm glad it was stopped because it was just a waste of money in my eyes.
Well, it became a waste of fucking money. Just a nightmare. Just a nightmare. But again, lots of people got very, very rich.
Yep.
Lots of companies prospered a lot. And it was mainly down to complete mismanagement, deliberate and otherwise, by the government.
Equally,
successive governments.
But you could argue that it would keep a lot of people employed for 10, 15, 20 years, or however long the project was for. So it was a massive employment generator.
I get that, but the money's coming from the public purse.
Yeah.
It's government funded, right?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah. But, so the road building.
He basically, okay, let's throw 60 billion at it.
Yeah.
We're going to pay these people 60 billion and deliver nothing. If the government's going to spend money, you want something back from that.
Yeah.
Your point,
but it was never.
fucking waste of money.
It was always going to be too much money to deliver something that wasn't really necessary.
Maybe. I don't know. I need to look at what the benefits are supposed to be and what they actually... what the benefits are supposed to be. I don't know the detail on that.
Yeah.
You're probably right, I suppose. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
Talking about Queen and Country.
Yeah.
King and Country. When did you join? So you were 2-1, right?
Yes.
Were you anyone... Who did you serve with before 2-1?
I left 17 and a half. As soon as I could, I joined Royal Signals in Chelmsford.
The TA at the time? TA unit?
Yeah.
What unit was that then?
907 Troop, 71-6. 71, I think it's 71-6. I've got a really bad memory for numbers and things like that.
Right.
But I think it was, I can't remember. I think what I do remember is that the 6 guys at Blueberries, and the sort of, the little fella, what's he called?
I don't know what he's called.
The
guy holding the thing.
Yeah.
Sorry, SIGs, folks. Jesus, I need to look this up. It's a good question. I've always wondered what it is.
And we were Essex, because we were Essex Yeomanry.
Hang on, you were the unit. You should have known.
I know exactly. No, but it's a long time ago. Yes, 71 EY Essex Yeomanry, Royal Signals, and we were
Mercury.
Yeah.
Mercury. The Royal Signals Cap badge is... Sorry to interrupt. The Royal Signals Cap badge is a distinctive emblem worn by members of the Royal Corps of Signals, the combat support arm of the British Army. The badge features a blue and white enamel shield with a gold-coloured Mercury's head, often referred to as Jimmy by members of the Corps.
Oh, okay. Right.
Mercury, the Roman messenger of the gods, is a symbol of communication and information. We learn something every day.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah. And so, but we were special. Essex Yeomanry was special because we wore green berets, and we had behind Jimmy was a red sort of badge, and so it was really quite sort of we stood out, and I joined them because I was electronic apprentice, and at school I did art and design and technology, and bless them, my parents pushed me down the technology sort of engineering side of things. So I got an apprenticeship with Plessy Military Communications, and so I grew up with Northern Ireland, Troubles, Gibraltar, Embassy, Falklands.
What was the third one there? You said before the Falklands?
Embassy.
Iranian the embassy, yeah.
All these, these things that massively influenced my teenage life was all about fairness, and so I just grew up of always talking about the IRA, and so I wanted to join the army, looked at joining the army, and then I just always remember saying to my parents, no, I'm not going to join the regulars because it's like a railway line. That's how I saw it, as a railway track that you wouldn't be able to get off. I regret that because I was wrong, but at 16, 17, when you're trying to make choices, I did my apprenticeship. First of all, that's 4-year apprenticeship. So but after my apprenticeship, I was looking at, where to go, or during my apprenticeship. So anyway, being in military communications, did all my sort of, those exams, got an HNC in electronics. So signals to me was an obvious choice because actually the thought of being an infantry soldier was the most ridiculous thing that I could think of. Why would I want to be put in a position where an idiot officer tells me to attack something and I'm just going to get killed? I went, well, that's just stupid. Why would you do that? So I joined the Signals because I wanted to be part of the military, but I didn't want to be but all the infantry guys didn't want to be told to run at a hill and get killed, because it's just madness in my eyes at the time. That was
little did you know.
Yeah. However, anyway, there's a backstory. There are thoughts in my head that may be revealed later on. But so I really, really enjoyed 2 years, I think, in the Signals. Loved it. It was such a great social experience for me. Still relatively shy type of person, I would say. I quite enjoyed my apprenticeship. You're going from department to department. Came out of my, very shy type of person. But doing the apprenticeship really, really helped that element of maybe made me more bolder and more confident. So in Signals we had girls at weekends and stuff. We'd, Friday night, Longmoor or wherever it was, we'd, have a disco, blah, blah, blah. Get up next morning and, set all the radios up, and it's great fun. It was really good fun. But then, I did a course up at, I volunteered to do a 2-week course at Colchester with the SIGs. And, there was with the regulars, and loved that. And then,
who was based there at the time? That was well before 16 Brigade got there.
Yeah. We're talking about late 80s.
I think there was a Scottish regiment there for a long time, wasn't there?
Was there? Don't know.
Yeah.
But the Signals were based there before Paras. Is Paras there now, really?
Yeah, Paras moved there with 16 or so.
Yeah.
In 2000.
So it was a long time ago. I was only sort of 18. So 40 years ago. But 2 guys from the regular SIGS SAS came along, did a presentation.
264 guys.
Yeah. And then that was me. I was just going, oh my God, beige beret, fucking the gods, Iranian embassy. They were just Falklands, Gibraltar.
What year was this? What year was this now?
Late 80s.
Yeah.
So.
What year was Jib? That was the 80s.
I don't know. It's the best thing. It was one of the best things I ever heard, and I'm not even going to apologise for it. Private Eye, front page. Why did you put 9 rounds into him? Because I ran out of bullets. Yeah. Honestly. So anyway, these guys turned up, and I thought, yes, this is it. SIGS SAS. It's got to be. So I did the course, went straight back, said to the lads, see you boys, I'm off. They went, what? Yep, it's the SAS for me. And then they went, but then I actually realised, I said, where's the TA? I remember saying to the guys, there's a TA, SIGS SAS. I went, yeah, there is. I don't know. Right, where is it? On the south coast. I went, can't go there then. I live in Essex. Anywhere else? He goes, well, there's a 2-1 in London. Well, that'll do. Yeah, that's all right, yeah. It can't be that much different. I'm 18, 19 or something, and really, not looking back at it now, it's all a bit mad. Anyway, so I decided, went back, and I had one really, really good mate of mine that I met in the SIGs, and then another lad, and I just convinced him to come with me and go for selection. And I remember had to go get an interview, exit interview with. He wasn't the colonel or anything like that.
What, exit from
SIGs.
the SIGs unit? What, before you started selection?
Oh yeah, we had to go to him and get permission to transfer.
Oh, okay.
So, and I went into this office, went to his office, and he's such an intimidating old buffer, sort of, I don't know, lieutenant colonel or something, whatever, high-ranking guy. And he goes, those blokes are just a bunch of cowboys. You don't want to go there. I went, oh, I do. And so off I went, and with two of my mates, and yeah.
What was selection like back in those days?
It was just never like nothing I've ever experienced in my life. It was the hardest thing. I remember we had to, because it is different, very much different now, but there was a pre-selection, and so even the pre-selection, they made us, I remember one weekend, we had to, it was winter, and everybody had to get stripped down naked. The DS got on, and there was this lake, I think it's Montralis, and the lake, we had to get into this, the DS got into a dinghy, broke the ice, so we could get into it, and made us swim round this thing. And I'd never been as cold as that in my life. And lots of things like that, and I'm going, maybe I've bitten off more than I can chew here. And it just went from there. Just when you would go down on a Friday night, get in the back of a wagon, 4-tonner, drive all the way down to Wales, get out of the truck, then do a march, relatively short night march, get up in the morning, off you go again, and then Sunday morning, if you survived, got beasted around for a couple of hours, and then you got a coach, which was luxury, coming back. But that trip down to Wales.
Oh, so at the time it was split across the weekend still at the time.
Yeah.
I think they do. I think they do it all together now.
They do.
I think so for reservists. Yeah.
Well, they definitely.
Did you do Jungle Phase?
No,
because it was 6. Yeah.
No, it wasn't 6. It was 2-1. I thought really.
Oh, 2-1. Sorry.
Yeah. But I mean, I should think I don't. And
why no Jungle Phase then?
Well, TA did continuation, but TA or the reservists don't do jungle, or didn't then.
Okay.
Didn't.
I'm pretty sure I do now. Okay, interesting.
Yeah, they probably do now because it's all merged into. But anyway, I didn't speak to disclosures like I said I was going to do. Well, I have spoken to disclosures.
About this.
Oh
yeah.
And the regimental association basically said, don't talk about it. But if you are going to talk about it, speak to disclosures. I spoke to them. They said, okay, fill this form out. And I hadn't filled the form out. So apparently it's on the website. There's stuff on the website. I checked out the website the other day, and it doesn't go into much detail.
About what? What you can and can't
about selection. About selection.
Oh, right. Yeah, but back then it's changed since then anyway, right?
Oh yeah, but it's
so when did you get your beret?
Different.
When did you find out you passed and get presented your beret? Talk about it.
So
was that on camp?
So you'd get after continuation, you get your beret. But there were weekends then.
Yeah.
So it was just a series of weekends. So and then that's it's almost like a just you're in a squadron, and you're just you're training with the other lads, and you're wearing a crap hat thing until you've finished your continuation, and then that's when you get your beret. So there's not a 2-week sort of selection process, like you might do like with jungle. A mate of mine did. He went off and did regular selection because he passed that, and he was working for me at the time, and said, I'm thinking of going and doing jungle. I need 6 weeks off. I went, I can't give you 6 weeks off. And it's like, really, and it was like, and I was like, oh, and he wasn't two minds to do it, but because I said I wouldn't give him 6 weeks off.
You horrible bastard.
But then that's a really massive regret, because then later on he went out to Afghanistan privately and was killed.
What, in the 80s, 90s?
Yeah, 90s, yeah. Well, no, more recently.
Oh, more, okay, right.
2004.
Oh, British guy?
British, yeah.
Jesus. No, sorry to hear that.
And then I blame myself because, because of the decisions that I made, changed his life.
Yeah, you can't look at
I
it
know.
Your decision is the only decision that isn't the only decision that influences life. You know what I mean?
Bobby, I heard about his death on the radio.
Who was it? What was his name?
I'm not going
to
mention his name.
Yeah.
But he was, there was government elections, and he was part of a sort of body of people that were going out to tell the northern Afghans about the elections, let them know about elections, and young lads, obviously, they didn't want elections, so he was gunned down by two young Afghans, mate from 2-3 and the local guide. So, yeah.
I've got a few questions on 2-1 from Coke from the Platinum patron listening in. Okay, if a soldier or officer can pass 2-1 selection, how likely is it, or was it then, or is it now, that they'll pass 2-2 selection?
Well, again, it's changed a lot. When I did selection, the speed that we had to travel was slightly lower than 2-2, and because it was done over weekends, whereas regular is over the Hills phase anyway, it's just over 2 weeks. I think it's still only 2 weeks, but day after day after day.
Yeah.
But I would say, I think if you and especially now, I would say it's very possible. Back then, it's less likely, but quite probable. If you're the type of person that wanted to go for regular, if you passed 2-1 and then worked a bit harder and committed a bit more, I would say because Tim did. I've just said his name, Tim. My mate, he passed, and he was fit. Whereas he was like a 2:45 marathon runner, and at the time I wasn't really running marathons. Since my best marathon is 3:11, but at that time I would have been lucky if I did 4. So he was much fitter than me.
What was the hardest part for you, the selection?
Weight. Carrying the weight. You mean just, that was sort of definitely is the carrying the weight being a...
What was the weight for the tabs?
45
pounds,
I think, yeah. Plus rifle, plus webbing.
Yeah,
it was a struggle.
Bear Grylls, ambassador for
Scouts
Reserves, SAS Reserves.
Yeah,
I think.
I thought you said Scouts. Yeah.
Good ambassador or not?
I don't think he promotes it that much, does he?
Question.
I don't think he promotes it. I
didn't think so either.
I don't think
he used to. He used to gob up about it a big way.
Did he?
Yeah, I got a feeling he got told to wind his neck in.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Maybe.
The regimental association is very, very hot. And that's why I'm not going to talk about it, because I do not want to piss them off. I enjoy, maybe it's even sort of I'm sure I'm not mentioning anything that's anywhere remotely sensitive. But I enjoy going to the association functions and talking to the boys, and and still meeting interesting people. Several years ago, 2018, I met Lou Rudd. Have you heard of him?
Yeah.
And we got to know him a little bit. And when he was going to do, so when he was going to cross Antarctica, to break the record for solo unsupported, I was going to do a film about him, and we chatted to him a few times, but didn't work out.
So good segue into that. How did you get into filmmaking? And then and also we'll come on to the AI art piece as well. So, filmmaking.
So, I was...
you won some awards, have you not?
Yeah, I won a couple of little things, Don't want to talk about it. No, but yeah. No, they are just local. A local film festival I won for a little documentary about a local homeless guy, and another one about just promoting. It's basically a company promo about a tattoo company that you and I know about.
Yeah. Glenn. Yeah. Glenn's on soon.
Is he?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'll watch that.
Yeah, go on.
So we won local best use of video for blah, blah, blah. That was the first proper little video promotion thing I did, and we put it in for, and up against I think 10 other companies. So it was a proper we were voted best. And
what was the story about? It was about a homeless guy, but what was the...
Oh, no, the homeless guy was different.
Oh, sorry.
But the homeless guy was that was really interesting. My famous line was, he'd had chips the night before, threw them in a bin.
It was in Chelmsford?
In Chelmsford.
Yeah.
Threw them in a bin, and he woke up on a park bench, starving hungry, and the next morning he goes, I've got no money, I've got nothing to eat. What am I going to do? And he goes, well, I threw some chips away last night. I'll go and see if they're still in the bin. And he went back to the bin, and there they were, in the bin, and he had to eat them. And he showed me the bin, and he goes, I was like, Jesus. And it was like, and he had an ordinary job. Anyway, so, but you...
Homelessness in Chelmsford right now is off the charts.
It is, isn't it?
It's not.
Well,
Go on. Go on.
They're not all homeless.
I know that piece, yeah. I
There's only a handful. There's not many that are they're homeless by there's a lot of them that are homeless by choice. There's not many that are homeless that need to be homeless.
I interviewed a guy recently called Lee West, ex Bootneck, and he lives and works in Swansea, and he did this. He started this thing up called Tramp Face, and one of the things as part of Tramp Face, him and his mate went and slept rough for 7 days, properly rough.
Okay.
No money. They were getting plastered every day because what else was there to do? Buying drinking cider all day, properly living the life. Yeah. I know.
That's a holiday for me.
Yeah. Sleeping rough. No, begging for money and all that. And he said a similar thing. I didn't realize to the extent it was, but he said a similar thing. He said a lot of the people who are out there begging, a lot of them, a significant percentage, not all of them, but a significant percentage of them, they weren't homeless. He said you only start realising it when you're literally living on the streets with them, and they start getting to trust you, even though in those few days, and divulge information, and they'll go home. He said a lot of people are begging. He said because a lot of people are begging, they'll make a pretty penny from it. They'll make a lot of money from it if you're doing it in the right spot.
So my eyes were open to that. But had main career in graphic design, left graphic design, got into iPad applications. That lasted a little while. Got into drones. That was amazing. Drones got me into filming. So that was like go back and that's so then I saw these little short stories and thought this is I want to tell these little short 3 to 5 minute short stories. Loved it.
When was this? What year was this?
2007. Hang on.
Just roughly.
2007? No. 2017.
Okay, right. Okay,
2017. Yeah. That sort of period. And, but anyway, so the homeless thing. So in Chelmsford, there's Chess. They do a huge amount for the homeless.
What's it called?
Chess.
Chess.
Chelmsford Homeless. Something. There's a church-based charity. They're on London Road in Chelmsford. They're amazing. They put up. They'll take in the homeless into their rooms. They've got quite a few rooms now. So that's what I'm saying. You don't have to be. It's rare that you should have to sleep rough. And so anyway, so I did this little video, little documentary for them, about that. And then that opened my eyes up, and then sort of worked with them a little bit, and that was really, really interesting. And that's when you found out, Chess's was, they did a little campaign, don't give the homeless money, don't give them cash, because all that does is give them money to buy drink, alcohol and drugs.
Mm-hmm.
So, so it's like, so that's, they were, and then, more recently, Sanctus, which is a charity, Sanctus?
Broomfield Road.
Yeah. And, so sort of, I interwove Sanctus into my documentary, I did about, sort of allotments and mindfulness and stuff like this, and because a lot of people will put all their spare veg and give it to Sanctus and stuff, and but I was doing some filming there at Sanctus one day, and Tony, who's really helped, I think she's a full-time, works in she's the cook, the chef, chief bottle washer and all this sort of stuff, and she goes, oh, they got no one to wash up today, and I'm going, well, I'll tell you what, when I've finished up filming, I'll come back and I'll do the washing up for you. Oh, thanks very much. And so that day was just like, so you're taking all the plates off of these people, and you're going, they're not very grateful. Their attitude was, some of them wasn't great. And I was like, it's like, how do you do this job? Because you're feeding these people, and some of them aren't that, they're not that grateful, are they, really? And they went, no, it's tricky. It is tricky because, and people would turn up, and she said, they said the people who turn up in cars, and they'll come in and say, can I have a lunch? And they don't turn anybody away. They don't ask questions.
Really?
Yeah.
In cars?
Yeah.
I'd be turning them away.
They honestly,
100%.
they had one bloke, and he turned up in a car, and anyway, so they don't ask questions.
Sounds like you're.
But
are you less sympathetic to the homeless now?
No, but my eyes are wide open.
It's a coke question. You drop them in there. It sounds like you're less sympathetic.
My eyes are more open, and I think the people that help the homeless and the vulnerable do such an amazing job, because I don't think anybody realises the crap that they go through to help.
Oh, the volunteers. Oh, I can imagine. I can imagine.
Couldn't imagine that they would have. I just thought everybody would be really grateful, but then,
you would think that, mate. But a lot of these people are. Again, there's a lot of people who end up homeless. They're homeless because they struggle to function in society and in the normal world for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Which a lot of the time is down to personality types and traits.
Yeah.
Unfortunately for them, or sometimes they're the victim of their own circumstances that create, but we don't know. I think, but it doesn't make it any easier. Certainly, putting the time in and being ungrateful or getting treated like shit, or bad mouthed, or I would imagine there's theft and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, one lesson I really learnt from that was one of the events I went to, and they brought in a young lad who'd founded started up a band, and he did a sort of few songs for the tracks for the event, and then after him he was talking about his experiences, and somebody said to him, what's the worst thing what was the worst part of being homeless? And he said, people walking past you and pretending you weren't there, and not looking at you and just ignoring you, and you just felt like you didn't exist. So now when I'm walk through Chelmsford and people ask me, got any change, mate? And I near 95% of the time I look them in the eye and say, sorry mate, I haven't.
Yeah, I do the same. I apologise.
And
whether
these days I can sort of be a bit more genuine about it as well, and sort of say, because we don't carry so much cash anymore, do we? So, sorry mate, I don't have any cash. And, every now and then when my sort of guilt pangs sort of, I've done, I might have gone and got some cash, gone against the grain. I don't know, sometimes it just gets to you, doesn't it?
Yeah, no, I agree. I used to regularly, give cash to homeless people. Definitely not all the time. It was, again, like you were saying, it'd be a certain circumstance. I'd have to be feeling a certain way, or I don't know. I can't put. I'm trying to work out, and I won't be able to work out why sometimes I would and why sometimes I wouldn't. If I had the money on me, but I would regularly, and I would now if I carried more cash.
I'm a sucker for. There was a guy in Chelmsford. Sort of slightly funny story. Is a Buddhist monk he was, and he was. Yeah, I know. I know the irony there. And he was sort of, but he started chatting to me. I went, well, "You're not dressed like a Buddhist monk." I'm going. He goes, "No, but," and he was so genuine, and he seemed like a really nice bloke. And he says, "I'm just trying to sort of like raise money for the whatever it is they call them, their church, because not
temple,
temple, yeah, maybe." And I went, "Oh, I haven't, I said, I said, oh. And I went and got, the cash till was over, and I went and got him £5 and sort of, gave him £5, and he's not even homeless, but it just felt the right thing to do at the time. And then another time I was coming back home from Manchester or somewhere like that, so up at a fuel station, and this young lad, well, I was young then, but this younger lad comes up to me, and gift of the gab he had, he goes, "Mate, I'm stuck here, I've run out of petrol, and I can't get home," and ended up giving him cash to put money in petrol in his van. He said, "Oh, if you've got a business card, I'll send you the money in the post." I went, "Yeah, all right." Did I get the money? No. So maybe that's so.
Do you want to talk about the art piece?
Well, it's interesting in that. So you sort of say how did you get into filming? So graphic design, bit of iPad app applications, then the drones, then the filming, and then I just found that.
So you've been quite heavily into tech, like consumer.
Yes, I love tech
for a long time. Then,
yeah, even when I was during that period of 16 years when I had graphic design business, we were the first to sort of get into web design, the first to have a digital camera, the first to have digital.
The first in the area of the businesses in the area,
yeah.
Kind of thing. Yeah.
The first in the area to have a large format printer.
Okay.
36-inch poster printer type stuff.
So we're not talking about A1.
No,
we're talking about poster printer.
And then we had a 44-inch.
Yeah.
So it was for exhibition graphics and stuff like that. And we were the first in Canary Wharf to get one of these things. And so I probably drove that technology element because I had a business partner, Paul, it was amazing. Put up with me for 16 years. But the art thing, so the video stuff over the last 2 or 3, COVID was kind to me, or people, so I got quite a lot of work during COVID because everything got shut down, so they needed video work to communicate, and then that sort of lasted. But the last couple of years has been awful, and that's industry wide apparently, reasonably. It's been hard.
What, for videography?
Yeah.
Why is that?
Well, that a lot of the bread and butter stuff that guys would do was going and doing corporate filming, and now they just go, "We'll just do it on Zoom. We'll just record it ourselves." People's appetite for what people are willing to accept in terms of video and audio quality. Yeah. COVID changed all of that. Yeah.
If you think, this, I'm preaching to the converted here. Pre-2020, I would never have wanted to interview someone on Zoom and release it as a podcast. And I'm an amateur doing this as a hobby, right? Would never have wanted to do it. Zoom happened.
Yeah.
Like, right, I don't want to stop. I'll get doing this. And it presented opportunities for me at the time as well, because actually people became more accessible. Significant people like celebrities and well-known personalities became more accessible than I would never have got on before. And then after the pandemic, it became totally fine to do it. A news organisation.
Yeah.
To do an online interview with someone, an hour or 2 hours long.
Yeah.
And it's literally, like you said, on Zoom or Skype.
Yeah.
And the audio quality is like web.
Yeah. And you can see the noses.
Yeah, exactly. Became totally acceptable. I see why it's gone. Why it's become harder.
So
that also presents opportunity, though, right?
Yeah. But it does. But more often than not, if I can, I'll refuse to do a Zoom meeting. Don't like them at all. But they
Well, in person is always going to be better.
Yeah,
always going to be better.
But Feb 14th, not this year, last year, signed up for Midjourney. Saw this, AI. What's this? AI can create.
Explain Midjourney to the uninitiated.
Midjourney is one of the text to image generators. I believe it's one of the more responsible ones in terms of where they've collected their done their training on.
Go on, elaborate on that, please.
Well, so Stability AI, Hamid Mostak, CEO, I think, says Stability AI notoriously did a lot of training on Getty images.
Okay, what's wrong with that?
Well, Getty, all their images online are there for people to purchase.
Yeah.
That's their business.
I see what he's saying. Okay, so, alright, okay. Got it. So for people who are unaware of, we're talking about, let's take image generation, for example.
Yeah.
People are unaware. The way that, AI in general, but the way that LLM or an AI model will learn how to do stuff, like the way that Midjourney knows that when I put into it a prompt, hey, create an image which is really happy and joyful and includes sunshine and people playing on the beach and perhaps a velociraptor flying on a surfboard, surfing on a surfboard with rainbows coming out of his arsehole. Midjourney produces that based on its learning, so it is consistently getting fed information, so imagery mainly, and context around the imagery, like explanations of what an image is. So existing imagery that has been created by a normal process, normal human beings have created it. Imagery, context around that. So then it gets to understand, okay, what's a picture? What's in a picture? What's the description? What is this part of an aspect? What is this kind of a photo? What is this kind of an image? How is it described? What category is it? And all these things. And then as more people interact with Midjourney and create prompts, I ask it for X, Y, Z thing. It gets it wrong. I say, hey, no, I didn't ask for that. I want this, and I give it more detail. Midjourney then learns more, and it gets more accurate at answering, giving better quality responses, image responses to user prompts. And what you're saying there is this other image generator, text to image generator, which is called what?
Stability AI.
Okay, Stability AI used Getty images as one of its core bases of information, so it fed in the learning model.
Yeah.
And Getty images, as you're saying, is people have to pay to get those images.
Well, so they should
have paid Getty, really.
They should have said to
Getty.
Or the appropriate thing was, as you're a business, you've got one of the biggest image libraries on the planet.
We should partner up.
We should partner up. We'll learn from that. And Getty would have gone, yeah, all right, yeah, but we'll charge you for that.
Yeah. And they didn't do that.
They didn't.
Because all the images are available online, but they're watermarked.
Yes, most of them, yeah. And it was evidenced, like there was a good example of one of the, Stability AI images being reproduced, but within the reproduction of it, it's still reproduced a Getty watermark. It's not to say, I'd like to describe how AI works more precisely, if you don't mind, than the way you've just done it. And because for those that are just listening to this, I'm holding an apple in my hand. And the way that I've been told that I've learnt is that you got an apple, you know that it's on a computer, it's made up of, say, let's for argument's sake, 1000 by 24 by 1024 pixels, which is about 1 million pixels. And each pixel, when you get a red pixel next to a red pixel, next to a red pixel, next to a red, builds up basically the AI, the LLM breaks it down into pixels, and then breaks it apart, puts it back together, breaks it apart, puts it back together again. And in breaking it apart and putting it back together over and over and over again, it learns which pixel and what color of pixel goes next to each other. So that it roughly knows that an apple is roundish, and so it will just keep rebuilding the pixels, pixel by pixel, till it replicates the original image.
Huh. Okay.
So any image that it comes across, it breaks it down, pixel by pixel, then rebuilds it, and then rebuilds it, and until.
So when you ask, go on, sorry.
And so it will. It's got the original, and it breaks it apart, puts it back together. Well, that's not quite the same, is it? No, so it does it again. It does it again. And
so if I ask for a picture of an apple which is red and white and has got just red and white.
Yep.
Then it basically produces what it thinks it knows. It does basically follows the same process before, what it thinks it knows an apple shape is, but does it with red and white or blue and white, whatever the colour is you asked for. And okay, got it. And it knows what the surface is because of that process. And if you ask it, I want a blue and white apple with a pen protruding from the side, then it does the same with the pen. Puts them both together. Okay, I get it. Yeah.
And I mean, even last week I had a conversation with a local creative, and I think she was like late 20s, early 30s, and she actually said, so her words were to the effect that the AI goes effectively. She said goes and gets an image from its library. I went, no. It doesn't have, it's not an image library. It doesn't work like that. It hasn't scanned a painting of Francis Bacon and gone, right, well, here's now a Francis Bacon. It doesn't work like that. It works in that individual artists have a particular style, and it learns. If you ask it to sort of paint in the style of oil or watercolour or pastel, it's created, so it will go and take tens of thousands of images of an oil painting or watercolour or pastels or anything. I'm talking about so I'm not referencing art, like traditional media art. And so it can replicate an oil painting stroke, a watercolour painting stroke, because it understands what that looks like and how pixel by pixel that can be replicated. So in terms of, and obviously you've got the difference between photography and art is quite different. So, photographers don't tend to have a style as such as you would in the same way an artist like, Matisse or Van Gogh or Picasso or, Meyer or Kandinsky, they've got quite distinctive styles. So if I did a little test, can you paint me a picture of a man holding a mobile phone in the style of Picasso? Well, Picasso never painted a man holding a mobile phone, did he? But it can do that. So it hasn't gone to a library of its library of Picassos and just pulled out a bloke with a mobile phone, because it didn't exist. So therefore, it's not creating a facsimile of somebody's work. And that's the difference. It's doesn't create facsimile. If you asked a text like Midjourney or one of that Leonardo or anything else, to create an image of, and I did this another one, Francis Bacon, man sitting on a chair, it will create a really good representation of a man sitting on a chair in the style of Francis Bacon. Because it knows that. If you ask it to do it with a cat, it doesn't know that really that way. It isn't able to replicate that very well, because it hasn't learnt how to do that, so it doesn't do a very good job. Mm-hmm. And so for me, when I sort of if I ask to create, the thing is, what it can do is it can create other artists' styles really quite well, and that's the worrying. That's, if you wanted to try to, create somebody's artwork in their style and then sign it in their name, then that's fraud. But it's the human that's been the fraudulent, where the fraud starts, because it's the human asking for the image to replicate, an artist's painting, rather than it, rather than it sort of seeing a Van Gogh and sort of saying, right, there's a Van Gogh. I mean, if you asked it to replicate the Mona Lisa, it will give you a Mona Lisa.
Yeah, I get it. But that is one of the things that can combat that going forward. And how do you validate a digital piece of art, which maybe it's a digital version of a real piece, a physical piece, or maybe it's a digital version created by a digital artist. How do you validate that it is from the artist? And one of the ways you can do that is with these days reliably is with blockchain signatures and things like NFTs.
Yeah.
If you can, and it's easy to verify if a piece of digital art is actually created by the actual artist. Again, it could be a replication of a physical piece. You can easily verify it through blockchain systems.
Yeah, I'm
That's
100%
different fucking tangent.
I mean, what I've done in the past is, for instance, I put in a Dylan Thomas. We spoke about this last, when we first met you, about Rage Against the Dying of the Light.
Yeah.
Put that in. Put one of the stanzas into AI. Said, create me an image that will reflect this part of Dylan Thomas's famous poem in the style of Kandinsky. And after a few rabbit holes, and going down a few rabbit holes, ended up with a series of images that I absolutely adored. They were sort of dark and light, and nice colours.
Yeah, you showed me.
Yeah.
And
it was influenced by something, my prompt. But Kandinsky's never drawn anything like that. It was just in his style, and it's not immoral. Well, though some artists do look down on people that will paint in somebody else's style, but it's nothing illegal about painting in somebody's style.
But and here's a question I know you must have been asked. I haven't asked it yet. I don't know what you're an actual artist. Sorry about that phrasing. You're an artist who creates physical art, right?
Mm-hmm.
You paint and you paint pencil. I don't know what else.
Tablets. I'm digital.
Yeah, I thought you did physical, so traditional art as well.
No, I haven't done that.
Oh, I thought you did that as well.
No. I have dabbled. I mean, I did art at school.
Yeah,
but I haven't.
So some of those pieces I saw in the gallery. I thought you'd hand painted. I painted those maybe. Oh, so they were digitally created. You sketched those, but digitally, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay. Right.
And then printed large format.
Okay. Now, all right. Okay, got it. What about AI art, as you were just describing? How does that stack up against?
Well, there's a different so some of the stuff that I've generated could eat. So I've got a series of things, of little things, little images, cuddly, woolly teddy bears. So that's really, really cute.
Yep.
And it's a great prompt, and it delivers some really, really. But that's not art. That's an image generator. That's like going to a stock photo library and saying, and I want and putting in a description and browsing through their image library till you find an image that you want to use in your design. This is what I used to do as a graphic designer. We rarely could have, in my business, we could rarely afford original photography, so we would use stock libraries, and they were cheaper and more convenient. Basically, cheaper wasn't always the ideal thing, but it did the job.
Yeah.
So some of the stuff that AI can do, some of the images, if You ask for a teddy bear with a blue hat, and you get a teddy bear with a blue hat. It's nice. It's not art. That's an image generator, and that's the difference. If you
say that again, give me that example again.
If you ask for a teddy bear with a blue hat,
from what? If I ask what?
Midjourney or any other text to image generator.
Yeah.
Then, because you said what about AI art, but that's not art, then is it? It's an image generator.
What's the difference between asking for that and asking for some other piece of art with just more detail?
Well, you're asking
another image.
You're asking you're saying what defines AI art? If you can put, and what I've done in the past, if you can have a process whereby your thought process is eloquent enough in its prompt to generate something that delivers what is something in your mind's eye, replicates, then and it gives you something that gives you pleasure and looks aesthetically pleasing and fulfills what you wanted to deliver, then that's a process.
It's a creative process. It's
a creative process. It's not necessarily art as we know it, Jim, but it is a creative process because you've gone through a process. So, for instance, I've gone. What would I want to replicate? Dylan Thomas's Rage Against the Dying of the Light. And then you go through a process of process of elimination, of reprompting, of adding chaos, because you can add factors in with Midjourney. Very, very malleable in terms of you can change things. You can put in a little code snippets within your prompt to influence certain words and certain colours and things like that. So it's useful from that perspective. You can, more so than I think any other image generator can do. So it's kind of like this fun process of being able to change and manipulate the image. So I'm influencing, specifically influencing the image with my own input, and that's quite an enjoyable process. And so that's how I, at the most basic level, that's how I'll create some of the art or some of the images that come out of it. But the way that I'm moving, the way that I create what I would call art now is that so a lot of what I'm doing at the moment I really like is reflecting state of mind or an emotion. So I can prompt to have a portrait. Most of the time it's a silhouette or something like that that has a visual feature of thoughtfulness, mindfulness, anxiety, or resilience, or something like that. I use that as an element to then build in and layer upon, and as a basis of so I use Rebel 7, which is a natural media software. So using a tablet and a pen and brushing in oils or watercolors or whatever you're using at the time. And you're really sort of layering in colors, you're bringing in textures, and that's what you've seen in the gallery. So it gets to the point where it's so natural looking, as for all intents and purposes, it looks like it's been done with real natural media.
Yeah, the reason I'm asking is I'm trying to understand. I think I've reached a conclusion here. I've been trying to understand why there is resistance to AI art, or an argument that that's not really art, right? And I'm trying to form an opinion in my head as to whether I think it's actually art or not. And I've come to the conclusion it is. And the reason I say that is because I think the main argument, probably the point of view someone's coming from, oh, that's not real art, it's not. It's probably because of the lack of physical skill required to create the piece. So even in digital art, right, you are quite often sketching on a digital screen, a touch screen, or you're using a mouse or some other interface you're moving to create something on screen. You're also doing other things digitally, like adjusting colors with an interface or what's the word?
Mouse.
A scale, a slider, whatever. Just as a basic example. Now, I was just thinking about the way you were talking through there and prompting and trying to get to form a piece of art via AI that you want. And I don't think the creative process is any less. And arguably, it might be, but it's definitely it's different. Exactly my point. Exactly my point. Because, and arguably, there is an argument to be said that it's much harder. This is an argument people are going to throw the toys at the pram. It could be much harder right now, because we're not used to doing it, to get the AI, whatever interface you're using, without you touching the screen, whatever it is you're viewing on, to create the line or the shading or the color or the shape or the thing that you've got in your head, and creating and replicating that, transmitting that getting that from your brain, communicating it onto the digital paper, onto the screen. Very, very difficult. I've got no. Was it 50 before you came in and before I met you? I was 50-50 on the subject, and I like right now. I'm thinking, if a piece of art, if something has been created in, let's say, Midjourney, and it's a piece of art, and I look at it and go, "Fuck me, that's amazing," and I know it's been created by a digital artist, which is what an AI artist like yourself is, a digital artist is, and I know that's a unique piece, and especially if it's got context behind it. A lot of the time with like great art and things that really draw you in is, okay, it looks amazing, and then you read the little label below, and it gives a little bit of insight what it may be. Even just the name of it sometimes can be, like Dark Knight or or Scream. Is it Scream? Scream?
Yeah,
Scream,
the famous one.
What amazing! You go, wow. Man sitting on a chair.
Look, the thing is, I mean, there's been numerous times now where somebody has said to me, "Do you know what, Alistair? I've got more respect for you now because I went into Midjourney, wherever, tried to create something, and I got dog shit out." And so I'm gonna defend the artists and illustrators who have got such a problem with it, because they believe their art has been stolen and misused.
I think go on.
Because
sorry,
there is an element of, I have sympathy with especially illustrators who have put their work up online, effectively in the public domain, because they didn't know any different at the time. And these LLMs have gone in and said, I'm going to use this image to learn how to create that style. And what they're saying is, but we haven't been compensated for that. Okay, so
But humans do the same thing.
Exactly. The difference
the scale is different.
The scale. It's the scale of it. I keep arguing. Like 2 years ago, I haven't had the argument with anybody recently, but as a human, I could go around every single art gallery in the world, looking at the styles and going, I love that. I want to paint like that. And initially, I'll paint in that style, and eventually, I'll develop my own style, or hopefully, you'll create something unique to yourself.
I was about to say is, I think it actually adds value to the traditional and the original, forms of creating art, painting, drawing, whatever those forms we're talking about. I think it makes those more valuable, and the reason I say is because they're like the foundation, the bedrock upon which AI is building its image.
And right. Interestingly, somebody said this to me yesterday about AI has started to, when you look at AI generated work, it's starting to create. There's a style to it. There's a look to it, especially from portraits, and it's because I think it's learnt, and there's just so it's got to the point where it's got as many images as it's ever going to learn from, and that's it. It's not going to develop anymore.
Here's an idea for you. Just popped into my head, right? For you or whoever else. I get why they're frustrated.
Yeah.
Right? But what if on these big like text to image generators, or these image generators, AI based image generators, what if that every time an image was created, within which the prompt specifically asked for a specific artist, or a specific painting to do with an artist. What if, like when a scientist creates a paper, and when that paper is published online, on those sites that publish those papers, like the New Scientist or whatever, it says below how many times that paper has been cited. And the more times it's been cited is an indication of how much influence that paper has, and how valuable it is, and how much and the quality of it. What if these artists, they were able, so on their website, it was connected to these AI image generators, and the AI image generator would notify through an automated process, hey, I don't know, give me an existing artist. Is Pollock still alive?
I don't know, it might be. No, I don't think so.
Okay. Banksy, yeah. Banksy.
Yeah.
So Banksy, you go on Banksy's profile, and there's a piece of art there, or even just Banksy's profile, wherever it is, and there's a thing that says there, Banksy has been cited, or his work, his style has been copied 43 million times across, and you go, fucking hell. And it would work wonders for those unknown artists who have got loads of art out there but that are not a major name. You can go to the local gallery. Imagine going to the local gallery, and there's like a traditional piece of art, a painting up there, and or even online to a local artist, and it says this style of this local painter has been cited 43,000 times, and it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's not a bad idea.
No, but that's you could say that about music. How many times has a track been sampled? And that's almost in its own self got kudos.
Yeah, but it's much easier. Yeah, I get what you're saying, but it's much easier these days to identify music that's been published online and is sampling someone else's. If I publish a video and I include some music, if I played music now, a track from Spotify on, the video would get flagged on YouTube.
Yeah.
And I get a notice saying, this is copyright.
Yeah.
You need to remove it.
Yeah.
And it would stop me. I'd have to in order to put it back up, I'd have to come to an agreement with whoever owns it and pay them money, basically.
Yeah.
It's much easier to do that for music and imagery than it is for style of painting.
Because you cannot register or a style.
No, but the control mechanism is in the prompt. If the prompt says, I want something like this in the style of Banksy, that's a tally to Banksy.
When I started this, so I started within 3 months of it sort of hitting the news, you could sort of say, I'll have a painting in the style of Banksy, Francis Bacon, Constable, anybody, Picasso, and it would deliver you something in that style. No, and Midjourney would still no. If you do it, it's not doing it as much. It's basically ignoring the artist. And if you put that prompt into, so OpenAI, have got they own ChatGPT, and if you do the paid version of ChatGPT, you can ask it for an image in your conversation, and if you ask it in the style of a known person, it's just not allowed to do that. So it won't recreate something in the style of an artist, a well-known artist now. And any unknown artist, well, you ain't got any reference to it anyway. Interestingly, did I tell you about the Trump? I think I did tell you about Trump, didn't I? No, I was creating an image, wanted to create a sort of a political statement about Trump. So I asked Midjourney to generate a portrait of...
What's the statement, Make America Great Again?
No, it was Morse code, C-U-N-T. Morse, but his face within that thing, which is...
original.
Some people got it. Anyway, I prompted for a portrait of Trump, and alarm bells went off. This is a band, band name.
What was this on? OpenAI?
No, this was on Midjourney.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't do it.
Did you try any other political people?
No, I didn't actually. But what I did do as I just circumvented it, I looked up Trump was the 47th US president. So I just put in, give me an image portrait of the 47th.
And it gave you it?
And it gave it to me.
AI, solid. Not clever. My God.
But I think it's just covering its arse.
I bet you wouldn't get away with that again.
I bet I would.
Maybe.
Yeah. But it's covering its arse. In terms of, we won't deliver an image of Donald Trump, but if you ask for something historical, I cannot lie.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing is, so I think it's good. I think it's, and I'm really happy. I'm very comfortable with the journey that I've been on, and how AI has helped me in my ambitions to create fantastic looking art that has a very strong resonance with me, which is all about sort of headspace. That's my core thing is, resolving anxiety or, dreams, anything to do with the mind and the chaos, because it's just it's never ending subject matter. I can create tens of thousands of original pieces of work that all work around a portrait and colour, and each one will be different, and it's fabulous, and it sells quite well at a very small scale. I'll tell you the one I created for the Ukrainian sort of political piece.
I don't think so.
Where I used...
Got about 5 minutes left, by the way.
Have we?
Mm-hmm.
Anything else you want to talk about?
No, you tell me what you...
Well, it created a wide format piece of art using the Star Wars AT-AT, the big sort of like...
robot. Oh, you did tell me this, but go on, tell the story again. Yeah.
And then I put in, because that used that, that's the Russia, imperial, and then signpost to Kiev, and little drones flying over it, and blah blah blah. It was a great image, really great image. And I just thought I'm going to do it as a political statement. Don't care if anybody buys it. And people kept coming in, going, love that. And I kept telling them it's because it's about Ukraine. Look, there's 2 little dots, 2 eyes in there. That's NATO hiding in the shadows. Not wanting to, hiding in plain sight, not wanting to get involved, but definitely involved, etc., etc. Oh, right. Some people were put off by it. They'd walk by as a political statement, not interested. But then someone bought it.
Oh, cool.
So it sold. So I'm very happy with that. So
yeah. I'm converted, mate. I say I'm converted. I've made my mind up, but I think before this conversation, I would have, if I'd seen art and thought, and one was tagged, generated with the AI, I would have probably thought less of it than something else, and I don't think I would now, because even just thinking in my mind, I know how difficult it is to get exactly the right. If you're talking about, if you're asking for an answer for a prompt, just text. You need the typical ask OpenAI a question, just ChatGPT a question, and if you're not very careful and specifically answer it, it's going to take you 2 or 3 iterations of the same question, at least to get the kind of answer you're looking for. Not correct, but the kind of answer you're looking for, the kind of information you're looking for, and the thought of trying to create a piece of art that's in my head using AI, my God, the effort. I don't think I'd be able to do it to the level, to the point where I'd be completely satisfied with it.
It's a tool, and it's just another tool, just like a camera is a tool for a photographer to capture an image, rather than
capturing an image is very different though.
Well, it is, but it's a lot quicker than painting a portrait or a landscape.
Yeah, but in the painting the portrait and landscape, you're deliberately distorting what that thing is from the reality.
Oh, but you can do that with the camera. Oh yes, you can. With the right light,
Yeah.
A good photographer with the right lighting can make an ugly person look quite attractive.
Right. We're gonna have one more question from our platinum patron looking in, Coke, and that is he's noticed your T-shirt, Jiu-Jitsu. So have you benefited from Jiu-Jitsu?
Massively.
Go on.
It's such a I can go
Where
there.
do you train? Where do you train?
In Chelmsford, at Reef in Chelmsford, on Parkway, and
that's by the Army Navy roundabout, right?
Yeah, amazing place. Coaches are amazing. The other people are amazing. You know, you're beating each other up, and then you pat each other on the back after 5-6 minute rounds and say, "Well done." Well, I've not been choked out like that, you know, as well as that for the last week or so. But honestly, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is really good for your mind. You go there, you have to switch off. Well, you switch off from everything else, and you really have to switch on. Because I described it when I was running, when I was doing my ultra stuff. You could go out for 3-4 hours training, or on the race 24 hours, and you had all the time in the world for everything to just go around in your head, beat yourself up, whereas with Jiu-Jitsu, you can go there and you don't think about anything else in life. Your
brain has to switch into survival mode.
Yeah. Because and being able to
very different.
Being able to relax in that moment of the most amount of stress that you would put your body through, to be able to relax, being able to defend a really deep choke or an arm bar, and then be able to think, this is nearly on. I've got to think here very quickly. How do I get out of this? Keep calm and, move and sort of try to but just the whole thing is just to.
One of the things I learned from it very quickly. So when I was training Jiu-Jitsu years ago, for the short period I did, a short amount of time over a few years, and not regularly over that few years, one of the things that really highlighted to me, aside from the manipulation of bones and joints and use of weight, use for all that, was the requirement and the awareness of the requirement to focus on, and the awareness of unnecessarily using muscles and muscle groups in your body when your body's stressed, and for example you're trying to defend a choke, or you're trying to move position, or someone's moving position, you've got an advantage of position on you. One of the things I learned early on is relax everything you don't need. Because one of the things people, and it's not just in Jiu-Jitsu, it's most obvious in Jiu-Jitsu, you can just gas out, is when you're fighting a full body thing like Jiu-Jitsu, if you're trying to move in position or defend, a junior person, I'm in fact still junior, right? I haven't done it for years, but even at the point I stopped doing it, still junior.
Yeah.
A person who just started it, they will be tensing every single muscle in their body, from their legs to their arms to everything. They'll be unnecessarily applying force to the opponent. They'll be unnecessarily pulling or pushing, unnecessarily grabbing here or doing this or making this, and it just gasses you out. And it's like it really taught me to focus.
You don't realise how much energy you're using just by tensing.
Yeah.
I still get tense. I got told off on Sunday, training with one of the senior brown belts, and he goes, "Alistair, you're tensing too much. Just still need to relax, And I was like, my breathing was getting out of control because I'm sort of and
it's actually something like I had across the boxing. It's like awareness of what am I using here? What muscles in my body are expending energy every given second? Do I need to do that? Do I need to do that? And
maybe that's why float like a butterfly. Maybe that was that relaxing. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe, but it's I'd highly recommend it. Well, it's not for everybody, to be fair.
It can be for everybody. It absolutely can. Men, women, old, young. It absolutely can be for everybody. Physically,
it can be, but not everybody's got the capacity to cope with it.
No, true. And plus, a lot of people don't want to get up close and sweaty like that.
Yeah, but it's it takes a certain it isn't for everybody. But it's worth a go.
Yeah,
because you never know.
I agree. Definitely, everyone should try it.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah.
How do people follow what you're doing and where you're putting your stuff? And
it's as much as I hate to say it, really Instagram is the first port of call, and it's just my name, J-A-G, Jag, Gillan,
J-A-G, Gillan, J-A Gillan.
J-A-G.
Oh, J-A-G, sorry. Yeah.
James Alistair George.
Yeah.
Gillan. And yeah, it's, but Reef, Jiu-Jitsu, Chelmsford, come down. Open mat on Sundays, it's free. Just come along.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Is it really?
Yeah.
I could just rock up.
You could rock up.
Is it one of these places where you have to have a particular coloured gi?
No.
Really?
No. We are the
mate,
alter ego.
I did not know that. What time's the open gi the open mat session?
9:30 to 10:30.
In the morning?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Come down and beat
I
you
am
up.
glad you said that.
Have you still got your gi?
Yeah, mate.
Come down.
Of course
and beat
I
you
have.
up.
I'm a shiny little white belt.
I'm so looking forward to beating you up.
Oh man, yeah. I'll definitely be there for that. Not every Sunday.
Yeah.
It also depends how the rugby goes on the Saturday.
Yeah.
But like if I'm injured or not. But that makes me really happy because it's something I wanted to. I found I got obsessive with it.
I'm not sure they would like
it
if you turn up every single Sunday and then didn't pay anything.
Oh, hang on a minute.
I don't know. But
changing the goalposts, yeah.
Well, yeah.
It wouldn't be every Sunday.
Yeah, well, no. But But ultimately, Sunday is free, and you can just turn up.
Right. I'm going to come down. I'm definitely going to come down. It won't be this weekend, I'm away, but I'll come down.
How much do you weigh?
You never ask a girl how much she weighs.
90?
14 stone.
And what's that in real money?
90k.
Yeah, okay.
89, 90k,
that's
yeah.
quite hard. It's quite hard, but I'm 70, so I do find
Yeah, but you'll tie me up in knots. You know the score.
No, well, yeah.
Well, what belt are you?
Blue.
You say don't say just blue.
Yeah,
how long have you been doing it for?
3 years.
Well, you can fucking wrap me up in a knot. You know who you are. I know the score. I haven't got any hope. So
I've only
that makes me happy. Okay,
yeah.
cool.
Yeah,
right,
it's
even if I get down for one session, I can't go again. But how much are the sessions anyway?
I think
I have to pay.
I think if you just do one-off is 12 quid.
Open mat on a Sunday.
No. It's free. They don't charge.
Yeah, but you change your mind just now.
Yeah, but all I'm saying is don't take the piss. You can't just keep turning up. I mean, they probably can.
Right.
But why would you? If you just turn up regularly on a Sunday,
because
you would want to join.
I know that, but I cannot do. Like Sunday is literally the only time I have to do anything that is a hobby outside of anything.
But I think odd Sundays, and then I think if you
it
said,
would be
look,
the odd Sunday.
if you then I don't think they would charge, and then if you felt really bad and you're getting a lot of benefit out of it, because
if I need to start paying, if it means I can go on a Sunday, I'll start paying.
But
I'll stop being a tight ass.
No coaching.
I'll stop being a tight ass on air.
But basically there's no coaching.
Yeah, no, I understand that.
Good? Yeah.
I understand that. Yeah, I understand that.
So I think that's why it's free, and they want to be as open. You can if you're a Gracie, then you can come in. We don't take the piss that much.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm glad you said that. Hey, great, been a pleasure.
No,
thanks for travelling down again.
No, thanks for asking.
And
me.
good luck with everything, and I will see you soon on a Sunday.
The only I'm afraid I probably will ruin your stats now because I'm sure everybody switched off at least
Coke's still there, mate.
60, 70, 80 minutes ago.
Coke, our Platinum Patreon online is currently, who's listening.
Well, that's very kind of you, Coke.
Interesting to hear you speak. I'm sure that others will be down to listen to you for around 2 hours. I agree.
I don't know why.
Cool. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much. Thank you.
Cheers, Coke.